Sorry. Gotta get everything. Sorry.
You guys are really obedient today.
I drove a couple
All right.
miles slower.
We are ready. Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Public comment period. Anyone here for public comments? No. If not, we'll move on. I'll look for approval of the November 15th board meeting agenda.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Schiefelbein, second by Commissioner Johnson. Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda.
All right, Madam Chair, on today's consent agenda, we have approval of the November 1st board meeting minutes, approval of the social services, county and hospital accounts payable, approval of the status change for full-time corrections officer Gary Schaefer to part-time effective November 21st, approval of status change of part-time corrections officer Olivia Anderson to full-time effective January 1st, 2023. Knowledge change funds in in the treasurer's office, sheriff, recorder, public health, parks, land use, and landfill departments. Approval of a transfer of $93,177.17 from the state fund to the revenue fund and retain $5,000 in the state fund. Approval of commitment to fund balance for parks, family services, building, and regional library funds. Approval of updated policies for the fund balance, journal entry, accrual, and receipts policy. And approval of the 2023 Board of Commissioners meeting schedule. Set a public hearing for the 2023 proposed fee schedule for December 8th at 9 a.m. And that is it for the consent agenda.
Any questions?
Did you send out the proposed fee schedule yet?
We have not yet.
Okay.
No, we're just setting the public hearing at this point. You'll get it in the packet for that.
Okay, yep.
I had a few questions on the payables. The toolcat, that came in.
Yep,
that's
came in
pretty-
as what was, came in as what was approved.
And was that the item that we had a change price on? No,
We did have an increase in the
Increase.
price from the budget.
that was that. Okay.
Yes.
I did
Right.
notice that on that toolcat, there was two identical entries.
It's because one was charged to the family services fund, one was charged to the general fund.
Okay.
And then climate makers, we had a $26,000 bill there.
Yeah, that was for work over at the highway department.
Okay.
That was
okay.
approved by the board.
Yep, okay, just, and then, we paid a per diems for the VSO.
Yes. For the volunteer drivers.
Okay.
Correct.
We do, I wasn't sure if that, I saw that. And then the old 45,000 in there,
That's the architectural services
that
for
was
the
all,
facility
that's all
plan.
part of the project. All right, that's all I had on.
Any other questions?
I have questions. On the change of funds item, you know, 15 and 340 and all these different, what are those funds used for? Some examples.
Those are cash drawer funds, so like at the service counter, so when people come in to make payment, then you can give them change back. So it stays the same all the time, but it's just what they have on hand in their departments.
Petty cash.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. And where does that money come from?
The general revenue fund, so at that time, it's board approved, so each time an account is approved, it comes to the board, and then we determine that amount, and then we pull it from the general fund, and then we break it down into cash, and then it stays within their department. It's just that it's been throughout the year, so when we went through our audit, they just wanted it all acknowledged at one time, just to make it aware. I mean, it's not new, it's been what we've been doing, but it's just to kind of bring it up so that it's all in one board minutes in a sense, so that they can compare it back to that.
Okay. I wondered why are there different amounts?
It depends on how much they have, how much business they do with cash transactions. So if they don't have a lot, they don't need a lot of cash on hand. And if they do have higher transactions, then the balance is higher.
So do they, when they do a permit, do they come in and use cash once in a while? Or passports, or do they pay their property taxes with cash? Not very often, huh? Or
All the
yes?
time. Yeah, we
With
get
cash?
a lot of cash.
Wow.
Interesting, yeah, I was curious.
Yep. Usually the people, well, I should say the people that come in usually come in to pay cash, or that's the reason.
And then each department head then holds the purse.
Right, yep,
yeah.
yep.
Okay.
And they're supposed to balance it, like whenever they turn the funds in for us to receipt the other part, it always stays at that minimum balance. So if we came in and did an audit, they would pull that and they'd be able to show that they have this balance still in there.
in
And
that.
do you audit it sometimes?
Well, each department clears theirs and then the audit is done through the,
Okay.
Any other questions?
Speaking of auditor treasurer, then we have an item called the updated Meeker County disbursement policy. And we are drawing lines through the current policy. And a lot of it is just verbiage, which, I can understand. But why was there an auditor treasurer concept done in the past? What was the purpose of that? Is it like a checks and balances thing between the auditor and treasurer's
yeah,
offices?
and we still do that within our department, but it's just that the auditor doesn't do that first part of the role, so we moved it to be treasurer all the way. But we still have a checks and balance system between the two. So we're currently doing what we've done before. It's just that it's all done within one office now.
In Commissioner
different
Burson, several years ago, the county moved to relocate a lot of the financial functions from the auditor's office into the treasurer's office. These policies weren't updated at the time to accurately reflect that change, so we're just going back and updating these policies to reflect our current practice.
We had a reorganization and reorganized some, but I didn't realize the policies weren't changed.
Yeah.
That's probably 8 years ago or
Okay.
8 years ago.
So the responsibilities of someone in the auditor's office, those responsibilities with their job position are not changing to be added to a person in the treasurer's office? Or I was just curious how workload and
That was done back when.
back then,
Yes.
and this is just changing of the.
To update it, just to
I
to
see.
mirror what is actually happening.
All right, yeah, I didn't get a chance to visit with Andrew yesterday, so some of my questions here are now coming forward.
Quick question on your $93,000. Was that considerable work to go back to 2008 and?
Yeah, it's been looked at a couple times throughout the year because it happened mainly before books were automated, I mean, in the paper format and that kind of thing. But, it's been always something that's sitting out there. So when we had this audit crew, I talked to her about that and said, can we take care of this? Because it would be nice to be able to balance everything back like we do every other fund. And they said, yes, if you can find a dollar amount that you're comfortable with or show it, which we can, then we can go ahead and move or do that, because they understand what was the process, because some of the stuff it's always been paid, but it's been paid out of their personal budgets instead of out of 75, even though it was receipted into 75. But we have much better ways of tracking that now that we have an electronic system, so by doing this, we can clear up all those accounts by those dollar amounts so that we can net them out to zero or know where they're at going forward.
Good.
Okay.
I think I'm good.
Okay. Look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Madam Chair, move to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Johnson. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Schmidt. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Barb, is she on Zoom?
Yes, we have
Oh, I'm
folks from
looking for her here.
CMJTS on Teams.
Okay.
Here they are.
Thought maybe they were having bad roads or something, like they're not here.
Yeah.
Do you want me to move forward?
Yes, please.
I can certainly do that. Good morning, and good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, and guests. My name is Barbara Chapin. I'm the
Can't hear.
CEO for Central Minnesota Jobs and Training
Barb, we can't
Services.
hear. Is it Barb? Okay, 1 minute, we're gonna try to get some more
Okay,
volume
try
here.
that.
Okay,
There we go.
try it again.
Can hear it better there too. Okay.
All right, let's try that. I'll start over again.
Okay.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the
Morning.
board, and guests. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
That's better.
Okay, perfect. My name is Barbara Chapin. I'm the CEO for Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services in 11 county area, including Meeker County. My staff and I are honored to present to you today, and we had hoped to come in person, but we had some obstacles. We had lots of slippery roads and ice and accidents, but we also have quite a bit increase in flu and COVID. And I was laughing earlier, luckily I didn't have my mic on, but somebody mentioned that they had a birthday gift and it was COVID, so I don't know who, because you didn't have the pictures on, but that was very laugh. I just had to laugh, but I saw Bridget and others laughing along with me. So I guess that some of us do get that for our birthdays, right? Not a very good thing. Before I go on to start my presentation, I'd really like to recognize two new board members from Meeker County that we now have on our board. Paul Bukovich, who you know very well, is our social services director there at Meeker County. I'm hoping that he's in the room because he's an awesome partner, and I'm really excited to have him on the board. And second is Rebecca Nelson. She is actually on screen here. She's going to give you a big smile. She's the HR manager for IRD Glass, and that's on St. Paul Street, I think, in Litchfield. So it's right down the block from you. So if you were ever in that area, stop in and say hi. We also have a success story that's a surprise today, and it has to deal with HRD Glass. So that'll be at the very end of our presentation. I also want to say hi to Luann Shepherd. I think she might be there in the room. She's the eligibility specialist for Meeker County. And I also want to thank Corey Peacock for setting this up. We had not planned, we planned to be in person, and at the last minute, she got everything ready for us. So thank you, Corey, for doing that. That's what I have. I feel really honored to have both Paul and Rebecca on our board because I look forward to their leadership, and I so wanted to have Meeker County as part of our board, and now we have that. So I thank them immensely for doing that. So year 2022 actually marks our 38th year together as partners in workforce development, supporting members of Meeker County looking for work and local businesses in need of qualified workers. Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services serves youth, adults, dislocated workers, public assistant clients, diverse populations, veterans, local businesses, and much, much more. Today, you will hear a client success story from Meeker County and the impact and success of our great partnerships together. I don't know if you've got it on the screen, but you can go to the next slide. And I can't see yours, so I'm gonna probably use my own.
Barb, we don't have your slides. Could you share your screen with us?
Okay. Can I share it with you, my screen?
Yes. Should be able
I
to.
don't have the PowerPoint. Does anybody else have the PowerPoint? Because I think we sent the PowerPoint to you. Oh, there it goes. Thank you very much. Okay.
I'm sharing, so.
Thank you. Thank you. So we can go to the next slide. Next slide, please.
Not going. Let me, there. You see it?
Nope, it didn't slide. I still have the first one on. So if you can go to the next one, that'd be great.
Let me.
I wonder if I can do it.
Did it switch for you yet?
Nope. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Oops. No, you lost it. We're gonna get there. We'll get there. Sorry about that. While we're trying to find it, I will go ahead and just let you know about that section that we're in right now. Our agenda is really twofold. The first is, are you gonna be able to find it, Leslie?
Possibly. I'm
Okay.
having issues.
The first part of our agenda is the business part, and that is, under federal law and state statute, I'm responsible to bring you the annual fiscal audit, the annual program performance report, and the commercial insurances, if there's any changes, and we do have some changes on the insurance. And the county demographics, every year, the counties ask me to bring them their own demographics, and that is done by Luke Reiner. He's the DEET LMI Regional Analyst. And if you ever need any information from him, you can always find that. Hopefully that you do have the PowerPoint and information in your online. So, and then, but the most important part of our agenda today is really what's happening right here in the county. It's a focus on programs and services that we provide for Meeker County. So Leslie, anything else? Can you find it?
No, I'm having issues. I think to get back to it, I have to exit and re-enter. I don't know if you can find the PowerPoint, Tricia. It is in our Teams folder, and I can't even bring it up.
I'll let you try to figure that out, and I'll just keep moving forward. The next slide was actually all of the pictures of our Joint Powers Board members. And there are 11 county commissioners that reside on our board, because under federal law and state statute, you must, if you have 2 or more, great, okay, if you want to go down to the picture of the, up, right there, perfect. This is the 11 county commissioners that reside on our Joint Powers Board. One is selected from each one of the counties. Under federal law, if you have 2 or more counties, you must be governed under a Joint Powers Board. And that's why one county commissioner has been selected from each of the counties. What I would like to do, rather than go through every one of them, tell you how many years they've served, etc., you know most of these individuals. So what I would like to do is I'd like to pause for just one moment to recognize Commissioner Steve Schmidt for his outstanding leadership on the Joint Powers Board and his dedication and passion of service to Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services and the citizens of Meeker County. Commissioner Schmidt has served on the Joint Powers Board for only 4 years and has already demonstrated his partnership, leadership, and understanding of the complexities of workforce development. The first year on the board, he attended the Minnesota Association of Workforce Boards summer meeting in Duluth. The second year, he attended the Workforce Development Board legislative breakfast, which we will also have again in December of this year. We had to stop them because we could not do them in person, and now we're doing them in person again. And then the third year, he attended the Region 3 Untapped Workforce event, and that was keeping older workers in the workforce. I want to thank you, Commissioner Schmidt, for your support and leadership on our board, on our Joint Powers Board. Next slide, please.
Thanks, Barb. I just want to point out that I'm very thankful today that I'm not wearing the same suit that I wore in that picture, because that's happened before. When somebody put my picture up, I was actually wearing the same suit that day.
I kinda
But
like
I
the orange
enjoy
suit.
it.
Exactly. I was kind of thinking that too.
But I enjoy serving on the board, and you guys do a good job. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next, please. This is the, thank you. This is actually, for those of you that are new and, even the audience, this is actually a picture of the map of all of the 16 local workforce development areas in the state of Minnesota. you can see where it says LWDA 5, that's Local Workforce Development Area 5, and that kind of greenish, grayish area right there, I am the director over all of those 11 counties. And we wrap around that blue dots, or blue area, and that's the metro area. So you can also see all those little white marks are all of the sites that we have. And if you go to the right, we have 14 locations that we have bricks and mortar. And so I wanted to tell you that Region 3 has the following career force centers. They have Hutchinson, Litchfield, of course, and Wilmer. They have specialized centers in Olivia and Wilmer Ridgewater College. And I have a note there that says that the comprehensive center is located in Monticello. It's right in the middle of this whole area, 11 county area, and that is also our corporate office. So next slide, please. The next slide, if Tricia can, she's struggling, I can see it on her face. There it is. This is actually the annual report that I'm required to bring you under federal law. And so this is also given out to, you know, the feds, it's given out to the state, etc. It's a trifold that is located, and I think that you were sent all of this information. If not, we'll make sure that we bring the folders out to you. And so that was that. And then I have my last thing that I have before I have Tricia, and that is the commercial insurance. And because I can barely see the bottom, I'm going to take my cheat sheet here, wherever it is, and tell you that at the very, very bottom of the schedule of insurances, it says cyber. It says policy type cyber. The Joint Powers Board and the 11 counties requested that CMJTS increase our cyber insurance to $2 million. You can barely read it, but it is down there. This request was important, it was appropriate, and it was timely. Because if you haven't been hacked, you'll get hacked at some point. And these hackers are getting smarter every single day. By the time I would drive to Litchfield and go back to Monticello, I would be hacked anywhere between 5 to 10 times daily. And they're getting very wise because they're going online and checking who you are in your background. So be very vigilant and beware of this. I'm going to now turn this over to Tricia, and she's going to tell you who she is and what position she holds.
Good morning. I am Tricia Bigwit. I am the Director of Finance with Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services. Happy to be with you today. Wanted to bring to you our audit for year ending June 30th, 2021. This year we had managed over 82 grants in-house. We prepare all the financial statements so that they're able to come in, give an unmodified opinion. We had over $6 million in revenue this year. And if you look at page 22 of your audit that you should have in your packet, you can see that we had no areas of concern, no material weaknesses, no internal deficiencies, nothing that they noted as they looked through all of our financial statements, all of our accounts payable, all of our payroll, client files. They looked through all of that, and they didn't find any issues. So happy to bring to you this audit, and then we're currently in the process of doing our audit for June 30th, 2022. So that will be presented to Mr. Schmidt at the board meeting in December. So that's all that I have.
Good morning, everyone. I am Leslie Witowitz. I apologize for my technical difficulties. As soon as I hit it to present mode, it was kind of frozen. So anyway, I oversee our business services, and I'm kind of the catch-all. I oversee our disability services team and do the grant writing and our fund development. So what I wanted to share with you today is about our business services, and Bridget is our business service coordinator. We'll be sharing the business success story here shortly. But our business service team are out and about connecting with businesses to help them find the qualified workers, which is very difficult in the economic conditions right now. With the low unemployment rate, employers are struggling. So her success story is one strategy to help businesses out. Next slide, Tricia, if you can figure it. We do also help businesses with on-the-job training. It is an opportunity for employers to get reimbursed half of the wages for a new trainee. We've had fewer OJTs because employers don't want to wait to fill out the paperwork. As soon as they have a qualified candidate, they do what they can to get them in the door and on the job. Next slide. The success story we're bringing to you today is about incumbent worker training. It is an amazing program that offers employers a way to upskill current employees. They can apply for up to a $25,000 grant. The business service coordinator works with the employer every step of the way as they fill out their application to apply. Next slide. So I am just highlighting a couple of things from our other programs. So if you have questions about public assistance or our adult programs, Dina Warnes is the contact person. She wanted me to highlight that we do have a current grant, the pre-release, so we are working with inmates before they are released to get them trained so that when they do get released, they can move right into employment. And then she also oversees the adult and dislocated worker programs. We are open to the public there in Litchfield on Tuesdays, and people can go and visit Bridget there this afternoon. She will be working. Sorry, Tricia. I know it gets a little confusing which slides. And we are also open Wednesday mornings. We do not have our doors unlocked. We are available for services every other day of the week. Those just need to be by appointment only. We accept walk-ins all day Tuesdays and Wednesday mornings. And this is where adults or job seekers, anyone can come in and get help on the computer or help get their resume and questions answered. Next slide. We go to Diana. So Diana Ristamaki is our youth program manager, and when you get your packet of information, there will be a chart of eligibility. As you can see from this slide, there are several different programs for youth, and each program has different eligibility. So the youth employment specialist works very hard to do what they can to make interested youth eligible for services. So there's different criteria and different services offered. So if you have questions on our youth programs, please feel free to reach out to Diana. And then I'm just going to go down to our success story and let Bridget take over. You go to the picture towards the bottom, Tricia. And take it away, Bridget.
Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for having me. I hope you can hear me okay. I'm Bridget. I'm a business service coordinator with CMJTS, and I work with Meeker County. So businesses are my customers. We have employment specialists that work with job seekers, and our business service teams work with businesses. And as Leslie mentioned, one of the programs we have is our incumbent worker training, and that is for businesses to train and upskill their current employees to help them advance and to help with retention. So I just want to read a success story about IRD Glass and how we've partnered with them several times to provide training for their staff to help them grow and also help the business grow. So they've partnered with 2 incumbent worker projects providing training opportunities and promotions. In January of 2020, IRD received, excuse me, $25,000 to reimburse for an automation inspection machine training. And then they also got funding for an enterprise system software. So the automation inspection machine training made it possible for IRD Glass staff to troubleshoot and fix their production equipment without calling in an outside vendor. This brought the automation department to run at optimal capacity for the first time, and that increased the productivity and increased business growth. What the staff got out of this training, they added to their employability skills. They have more opportunities for advancement, and IRD is saving money because their staff can fix and maintain their own machinery now. It also helped with safety. Because of the increased automation, there were less injuries due to repetitive motion, and because it's running at full capacity, the staff had more machinery helping them with the physical tasks. All staff trained through the incumbent worker program have received at least 1 wage increase since the 2020 project. They also had an enterprise system software increase, and what the software does is it gave real-time manufacturing reporting during a processing job, and that helped make the IRD management so they could make real-time decisions about their production process and increase their production and output. And the other project that we have partnered with IRD, it was in September of 2021, they were awarded $17,700 for training through Ridgewater College and Manufacturers Alliance. In this project, 3 managers received strategic leadership certification, 7 production leads received role of the supervisor training, and 1 production lead attended the overcoming resistance to change training, with a total of 11 staff being trained in leadership on this project. They increased the employees' leadership skills and efficiencies on the production floor, the work culture and employee retention, and production has improved, as well as wage increases and opportunities for advancement. These trainings have very valuable to the IRD staff, and I'm working and talking to Lance Grobe over there. He's the CFO of IRD Glass. I asked him to share his thoughts about how this program has assisted their business growth, and then he also shared about an upcoming project that he's working on. So this is from Lance at IRD. With the difficult labor market, unprecedented inflation, and customers asking for price reductions, being able to develop our internal workforce is key component to continued success. The incumbent worker programs helps us train and retain our local employees to be ready for future challenges. So we're looking at growth and within the company and within the community with these funds. And he also shared a plan that he has for applying for another incumbent worker funding in 2023. And so his goal is one of our next training opportunities involves an in-depth focus on efficiency improvements in their software. They went through a major server and software upgrade this summer, and we want our staff to be utilizing the system at its fullest capacity. A second training topic is under our quality management system. We want to take our team certification to the next level with ISO training, and we have identified a training partner that can help us stay organized and achieve our goal of iOS training for our staff in 2023. This is just one example of a business that we work with in Meeker County to help them grow and to help feed the pipeline of the staff that they need in order to be successful. Does anyone have any questions?
Does Rebecca want to add anything? I don't want to put you on the spot, just in case.
Thank you for the spot. So yeah, we've been partnered with CMJTS on the incumbent worker grant for a couple of years, as Bridget said. It's a great way to enhance our employees and get them further training so they can also better their careers as well. So I did join the board this year to see what happens on the other side of things, and I'm enjoying my time with them.
Thank you.
Does anyone have does any of the commissioners have a question before we leave. Thank you for putting up with PowerPoint and a few muffles, but I think we got pretty well through it.
Barb,
Yeah.
Commissioner Schmidt, I was just wondering, have you worked with any, we're looking for, let's cut to the chase here, we're looking for corrections officers like everybody else across the state. Have you worked with any of the counties and government entities that are having the same staffing shortages that the public sector is?
Leslie, you might want to answer that one.
I guess my question is, are you referring to the incumbent worker or just helping them in general find people? Because that we always try to do when we help the job seekers too that are looking to get into that type of a career, if they're eligible with the education required. We have assisted some government entities with incumbent worker training. We helped a project, I want to say it was up in Chisago County. They were going to be having several retirements. So they did some leadership training, I would say the majority of their staff, so that they felt they were prepared to then apply for those promotional opportunities when those retirements occurred. Did that answer your question?
Well, I think so. I guess should we reach out to you? I mean, or to create some sort of relationship as a county so we can try and fill some of these missing positions that we're short of.
Absolutely.
I think Bridget would be your main go-to person.
Okay.
She is, I would say,
She's a
the
superstar.
business expert in your area.
All right.
I'd love to talk more about what you're looking for, and then we can get the word out about the opportunities that you have available.
All right. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I remember
Thank
some
all
years
of you.
ago, I worked at Ridgewater College for my career. And back when Hutch Tech was laying off people, I believe you folks were instrumental in the displaced worker program. Many of those people then came to Ridgewater and started training toward completely new careers. And it was a wonderful, wonderful arrangement for these folks who had, out of no fault of their own, lost their job. And I just remember that displaced worker program was wonderful. So I thank you.
We actually did that for many years
Yep.
because there was lots of layoffs. Yes.
It worked
Thank you
out
for recognizing
And
that.
many of those folks, of course, had taken jobs right out of high school. They had no college, they had no training, whether technical or college training. And to have the ability to help fund some of that, their return or just to come to college was really a godsend for them. So I thank you for that.
Well, thank you for remembering.
Yeah.
Thank
Anybody
you.
else? Any other questions? Thank you very much. It was enlightening. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and everyone. Well, I hope to see you next time in person.
Yes.
All right.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Okay, moving on. Phil Schmalz, Public Works Director.
Don't we usually take a break when Phil's up?
We got treats. So let's go get some treats.
Good morning, Phil Schmalz, Public Works Director. One item for consideration this morning. It's consider replacing our existing 1992 Ingersoll Rand 185 cubic feet per minute portable air compressor. So this is a unit that we use for crew operations, like crack sealing, cleaning out bridges. Maintenance borrows it for blowing out sprinkler systems, things like that. It was not in our budget. We've had a lot of focus on major equipment the past few years. As prices increase, trying to keep our equipment budget as a whole down. So our contingency or miscellaneous budget item, as we usually put it, has slid out of the budget. So that's why it's not in the budget, either 22 or 23. We were trying to limp the unit along as we could. Wait until it fails, well, we're there. So that's why it's not budgeted. We do have rental options. It would cost about $2,000 a month to rent, so that's why I'm bringing it to you today, because I feel like the value of purchasing is going to pay for not having to have that rental expense until we can get it into the budget and purchase it through that process. And availability, if you're curious, sounds like June or July of 2023 is when we could expect a unit straight off the state contract. There would be an option to get something sooner, but the cost would be slightly higher because they don't have, it's equipment that's got some extras that we don't necessarily need.
Now, is this something you can just go out and look around and purchase, or do you have to take bids?
Yep, we've gotten quotes off the state contract from 2 different suppliers down in Bloomington.
Something about Bloomington in here.
What type of warranty do they come with, Phil?
I do not know.
But they are fairly trouble-free. I mean, this one obviously 1992.
Yeah.
It's been around.
It did okay.
But you can repair those, the minor repairs you can do right in your own shop.
Internally, yeah, they're diesel units, our mechanics do what they can with them.
So the price looks like it's, if it's purchased this year, it'd be like 23,452. But do you, if you don't get it, can you still purchase it and get that price? Or is that what you're worried about by keeping it at 25?
If we don't purchase it before, I think it'll be the end of this year, the state contract for 2022 will expire. And we'll have to deal with 2023 numbers, which I expect will be higher. Once we lock in our contract, our price is set.
Okay,
We just may not get the unit until summer of 23.
that was my only real question.
And the difference between the Doosan and the Solaire is the $950 or whatever, but, you just don't know which one's gonna be the most available. That's kinda what you're,
I think based on what we found, when I
Okay.
wrote this up, we didn't, but they're both talking June or July of 2023.
oh,
So
okay,
I would expect we'd be looking at the Doosan.
okay,
Is that accurate?
okay.
And obviously renting's not an option because it's the same price for 1 year to own it,
Right.
is what
right.
you're,
And some of that
Something
rental cost can be applied to like a rent-to-own agreement, but I'm not sure it's 100% of that cost. And availability, I guess, is the other thing with renting. If we can't get it, that's a big problem for us.
Is the old one worth $10 or
You want it?
flower pot? No, I don't.
We'll put it on auction and see what we can get for it, but it's probably a parts machine is my guess.
Okay, I was just curious if there was any value there or whatever.
There'll be something, but I wouldn't know how to estimate what it's worth.
Put it on Steffes and call it a day.
Yep.
So would you have, if you're not gonna get this one until June, are we able to limp that one along until June, or is it?
Maybe, I don't know if I can promise you anything. We have local outlets that we could rent from on a weekly basis if we have to. We probably wouldn't go the route of renting on a monthly from these major major outlets down in the cities. So we'd rent locally if we had to get us until our delivery date.
You need to pay for it though on 22, is what you're saying.
I believe we pay when it's delivered.
Okay.
That's how all of our other equipment purchases work.
Oh, okay.
we can get that price as long as we just lock it up.
We have to lock it in now to get this price
Gotcha.
or before the end of the year.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the purchase of a new portable air compressor not to exceed the price of $25,000.
Motion by Commissioner Schiefelbein, do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Bredesen. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Phil.
One item with the snow, I thought it maybe be appropriate to bring Ed, if you wanna come on up. Ed Holster, he's our new maintenance superintendent, so for those of you who may not have met him, he's been with the county for maybe 6 years. Yep. So just wanted to get him in front of you, you know, he's gonna be running highway maintenance, which is the biggest function of our department, the way we're set up, so. He's got some good
Morning.
experience.
Prior ditch inspector,
Yep, that was, yes.
so we know where the history is.
Oh, exactly.
Ditch troubles are.
Yeah.
As an operator, ditch inspector, he's been our assistant superintendent now for a couple of years. And Carlin's still around into December now to help the transition and move everything over smoothly.
Yeah, he's announced his official retirement.
Yep.
Okay.
I think he's got about 7 or 8 days total left to work from now until he's done.
Yeah, he'll be here 3.5 weeks yet, but there's some vacation in there.
Right, any questions? Welcome.
Yes.
Good luck.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, you thought ditch
Hey,
inspector.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna recess the county board and convene the county ditch authority. John?
Good morning.
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 Bring before you one item which we've all discussed plenty of times already in the past in public meetings. Recently for County Ditch 15, the repair report from Houston Engineering was approved by the Drainage Authority. The first phase that's planned in the repair is tree removal, and it's primarily access so that we can get in there and clean out sediment, remove the down debris, fix any erosion. There's a couple of crossings we gotta install. Then also for future maintenance and inspections. I had sent out RFQs to 4 different contractors that I felt would do a pretty good job on this project because it's a little more controversial. I had 3 responses. The results were listed. Reinert Logging was the low quote at $53,800. I had talked with all 3 of these contractors. I have a pretty good working relationship with them. All 3 of their schedules were most likely next winter. They're pretty well booked already for the year. All the expenses would get, assessed to the ditch system. So we most likely the CD 15 assessment probably wouldn't go out until probably a year or 2 from now, until once the project gets completed, then the assessment go out. So if it doesn't get completed until spring of 2024, it wouldn't go on until 24's assessment.
Now, is this just a stretch, John, or is this covering?
It
Vast
covers
majority.
from where phase 1 ended is basically at 735th Avenue, and then it goes all the way to Highway 15.
Okay.
So it's a large portion of it. There's still some left on the west side of Highway 15, but this will cover a pretty good portion left.
Okay. Get a motion?
Really? One question, was there a minimum date in terms of the tree removal? Because is this the one that's been going on for like a billion years?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just knowing,
Elliot.
well, when you're a little girl. I
Yeah,
should say.
Whoa. That's taped. This is
That
getting
taped?
good now.
I think you is a billion.
Billion. But,
Ooh, Brandy?
I do,
Calling my county attorney here.
I know,
I do have a completion time of that needs to be done by spring of 2024.
gotcha, that's, I was gonna say.
We
I'd
only
be-
give contractors 2 winters on tree removal, for example. Because if you get 1 winter, you get a lot of snow, you just can't get in there and do it, for example, a little bit of leeway.
Gotcha.
And then if spring and fall, if it's wet, it's just too much.
I would just think you'd want that anyway, cause if another year before they do that, and by the way, I'd like to retract that billion
Too
year
late.
statement.
My
in the
kids
minutes.
always say back. So there was quite a spread in the bids from the
Yeah.
one you took.
25.
Yeah, I was surprised the difference there.
I mean,
2 of them were really close.
and then that other one was way, no
I think
reason.
the biggest difference is Reinhardt Logging is planning to bring in like a small feller buncher, or it's basically a cutting head on an excavator. They can just go and cut, pretty much all the trees are gonna be cut with that machine. Chainsaw is hardly gonna be used to cut most of the material, so they did the JD1 project this last winter down by Cosmos, and it's quite impressive what they can do in a day.
Oh, good. So it's good to
That's
for
where,
less.
that's where the cost saving is.
Any
So-
other questions? If not, we'll
Yeah,
look for a
and
motion.
the spoils then are taken care of, all of the down trees are cleaned up in this bid?
This
And-
is just for the tree removal, the
Okay.
excavation, this does not include excavation.
Okay, then how about communication with the people on this ditch system to let them know that it's gonna be a full year? Like
I'll be
Commissioner
sending
Schiefelbein said,
I will be
it's
sending notification letters
Good.
to everyone that'll be affected.
good,
And I'll put in there that it's most likely will be next winter, there's a chance, maybe late this winter, but most likely will be next.
Okay, excellent. Yep.
And everybody along this ditch, I've actually talked with everyone. I'm pretty confident I have all their phone numbers as well.
Okay.
Conversations with every one of them along there, so,
Wonder why.
yeah.
Okay, anything else? If not, we'll
Madam
go to
Chair, I'll
motion.
move to approve a quote from Reinhardt Logging for $53,800 for tree removal on CD 15.
Motion by Commissioner Schmidt, do I
I'll
hear a
second
second?
that.
Second by Commissioner Bredesen, any other questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries, thank you.
I was gonna mention one more thing, on JD one, there was the last stretch of tree removal I had sent out for quotes. The low bid on that was 47,000 and change. Kenny High has 4 commissioners on that. I ran that past them already, and Lauren, the ditch inspector there, he said he didn't feel like for that amount that it needed to go for board approval. So we went ahead and approved that contract. Again, that work won't happen until probably next winter. But just so that,
But we have a very small section of that.
yeah, it's only less than 10%.
Yeah.
So it's, Lauren felt for the size of that system, it wasn't to try and get everybody together and do all that. So he said just go ahead and approve the contract for that.
Good,
So just so you're aware.
all right, thank you. We're gonna adjourn the County Ditch Authority and reconvene the county board. Brian Cruz, County Sheriff.
So,
Brian Cruz, County Sheriff.
so Madam Chair, before we turn it over to Brian, I have a couple of slides I just want to run through to get everyone onto the same page of where we're at this process and where we're at right now. So, as part of the budget process early on, in May, we requested that department heads provide us with requests for new positions so that there's an opportunity for the Personnel and Compensation and Classification Committee to review those prior to budgets being developed. It gives the department heads a sense of what would potentially be included with their budget so they are able to make those plans and adjust the rest of their budget accordingly. So the sheriff's budget initially requested included 6 new positions, 2 patrol deputies, a school resource deputy, 2 corrections officers, and a dispatcher. In June, the personnel committee met and recommended to move forward with 1 patrol deputy, corrections officer, and a school resource deputy. The budget committee, as part of looking at the budget as a whole, pulled all this information together. They agreed with the recommendation to move forward with the patrol deputy, funding it with levy funds, with the school resource deputy using a combination of levy and fund balance, and plus a financial commitment from the school districts. And then the corrections officer agreed to move forward with it using a combination of levy and fund balance. Oops, wrong mouse. In August, we held our county board work sessions, looking at the budget as a whole. Through those 2 meetings, decision of the county board was to continue to move forward with the patrol deputy in the budget, funding it with levy funds. The school resource deputy using fund balance plus a financial commitment from the school districts, and removing the corrections officer. And the reason for removing the corrections officer was concern over whether or not the position would be able to be filled because of the number of existing vacancies within that role currently. In September, the county board held another work session to discuss these specific position requests. The sheriff presented further information, and there was further discussion regarding the school resource deputy and the corrections officer. Ultimately, at that point, we did not get firm direction from the county board, and so that's why we're back here today, seeking that so we can finalize the budget for approval at our next regular board meeting on December 8th. So what does the cost of these positions look like? Each of the cost items that are up there include salary, benefits, and vehicle equipment costs. Patrol deputy and the school resource deputy would both require the purchase of a new squad, so that's why their cost is higher up front. The patrol deputy, $143,250 is the estimated total cost, and the funding source for that is the levy. School resource deputy, $101,000 would come out of fund balance. The remaining, which is not included in the budget, was not included in there because A, we were anticipating some financial commitment from school districts, but also B, anticipating that the process of getting that moved along would require that this position would likely not be in place January 1st, but will be later in the year. And then the corrections officer, that total cost is $61,250. Again, as mentioned earlier, currently is not included within the budget. So in the budget right now is $244,525 of new personnel costs, which does include that equipment and vehicle cost as well. Not included in the budget is $103,225. As we look at how this would impact the budget as a whole, currently for the general fund, we're anticipating a fund balance use of $312,000. If you add in those two positions that are up for discussion today, that amount goes up by that $103,000 that I just mentioned. So our new fund balance use projection would be $415,000. So the two questions that we're looking to have answered today is, should the school resource deputy be fully funded by the county? And should one new corrections officer be included within the budget? With that, that concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Andrew, can you back up, I think, 2 slides? Whoop,
One slide.
1 slide.
This slide.
All right.
What have we heard from the schools? Anything promising?
The schools, I don't think, in our position to fund this right now.
And how many school districts within Meeker are wishing to participate?
So there are 4 schools that are under my direct jurisdiction. There's a 5th school that has a police department, but the hours of that police department puts a lot of the burden on us and our response during daytime hours.
As far as the school resource officer, I'd like to just take a stab at that in terms of what I've always saw with that, and I've talked to you about that before on the phone, Brian, is that I'm pretty adamant that as far as an SRO position, I'm a very big proponent of it, but I'm only a proponent of it if the school has some, some meat in the contest. So I would propose that if, like, I think it's gonna be ACGC would probably be the most likely if any schools were to be wanting this role, just from discussions with what Ean Valley's situation is and stuff. And I would be a proponent of if they were able to, say match the minimum of like a neighboring school district to this county, as far as what they're gonna put in for a pricing, for this position, I'd be all for that. But until that happens, I'd probably be leaning against it. I understand exactly where you're coming from because you want to be, a little more ahead of the game, more proactive about it because of what you saw. But I think it would create bad feelings of other school districts that are on the county line. And I can only speak for myself in terms of that because my son goes to Kimball, and we already pay Kimball through our own school district. And I would think those individuals, and I think Dassel Cokato probably does the same thing because they pay through Wright County, because that's where the school is. And I think they would have some hard feelings if we, as a county, decide to pay for it fully, why we're already as districts are paying for ones that are, either in Stearns or Wright. So I'm all for, I'm a proponent for what you're trying to do, but until the school district actually puts some money into the game, I'm not until that happens first, just because of what I said. And like I said, if they're willing to match the minimum of a neighboring school district, I'd be all for it in a second. And like I said, through our discussions, I understand you're trying to be proactive about it because you're using resources that regular deputies are to go to these. But I think just to set a good precedent about this for our Meeker County, that's the route my intention would be. That's just my opinion.
How about like ACGC? A lot of their kids are in Candy, Ojai County. Some are in Meeker. The actual high school is in Meeker. How does that work? If we were to have a person, an officer, would Candy, Ojai County be willing to pay 1/3 of that, and the school district 1/3, and Meeker County 1/3? Or how would that be? I know we had talked about half from Meeker County and half from the school district, but when their ACGC is part of Candy, Ojai, and Eden Valley is part of, Dassel, they leak over into the neighboring county. Would those counties leak over? encroach upon, whatever term, but would they be willing to, as a county, help kick in a portion of this?
So all those county line, schools, it's jurisdictional, so Kaneohe County is not gonna give us money to do school resource stuff in Atwater or in Grove City. Just like Wright County has an SRO in Cokato, but they don't have anything in Dassel. So it's by jurisdiction, so I don't think Meeker County's paying Dassel or Cokato a third, nor do I think Meeker County's interested in doing that, because that service is in that county, on that building. So what I've been saying all along is this is a countywide issue, and it's no longer being proactive, it's being reactive, because the number of calls at the schools have gone up considerably this year, including threat calls. The concept that I've always presented is I have 4 schools that are completely within my jurisdiction, a 5th that we take care of because the police department doesn't have 24/7. We need a school resource officer to help with the burden that's being put on our day deputy, who's all alone, by responding to those calls. The SRO is not just putting a deputy in the school, it's more of a concept and dealing with issues. Just like in social services, we have a person dedicated to being the truancy person. We don't charge the schools for that. It's a countywide issue, and we're a partner with them, and it's the same concept I'm trying to do here. Because we have specific issues that one person dealing with is better than 5 people dealing with, because every time a new deputy comes in, we gotta start over with the whole story again, and we're not getting progress. And SRO is gonna be there as a partner to all the schools, so if no school puts in any money, then they all get equal time. If a school puts in money, they're gonna get more time, or a school might get more time depending on the call load. If ACGC kicks in money for it, then only ACGC is gonna get it, and we still are not addressing the problem with the other schools. So this is not something the schools came to me with, this is something that I've thought about as a way to help the overall response from the sheriff's office by addressing it on our side, and then going to the schools and asking them, okay, if we're doing this, are you able to kick in? They're not able to kick in right now, I think in the future they would. But somebody's gotta take the leap of faith and move this forward, and that's what I've been advocating for. Not only for the schools' satisfaction, but for all of us in the county, because this will benefit everybody in this county. It's a countywide approach to all the schools, and it helps with the response from the sheriff's office, because if we have our day deputy tied up at a school, that affects everybody else in this county. With our staffing shortages and with our inability to hire part-time people, we're in crisis mode in the sheriff's office. We need to start backfilling positions and understanding we're not gonna get part-time people, and we need full-time people to do that. We don't have the staff that we need to do this. That's the reason I asked for 6 in the original proposal. And there are some specific ideas to deal with that, but we are in crisis mode. We're denying people time off, we're mandating overtime. We have people with 80 hours of regular time and 80 hours of overtime. We can't sustain this. We can't expect our staff to do this without giving them relief, and we need these positions to relieve some of these positions in our office, because we're not getting staff to fill these, and we have a lot of off time. And I asked this question when we had the work session, and it hasn't been answered. The county board, by contract, has said you will get this much time off. We're telling them we can't give it to you because we don't have the staff to do that. And I don't have the answer for that, but all I know is we are in serious trouble, and we need these staff members to backfill these openings and help us with these shortcomings. And waiting for the schools to kick in money means that's not gonna happen, so there's shortfalls. So if the issue is we are not getting money from the school, then we maybe need to create another deputy position that's gonna dedicate them time to school, but we're not gonna call them an SRO. But at the end of the day, and the bottom line is, we are in serious trouble with our employees, and we're expecting way too much from them, and we're demanding way too much from them, and we're gonna lose more employees because of that. And we need to address this, and we need to get some more full-time staff to look at these shortfalls.
Three questions. When Dassel Cokato School calls with an issue, does not a Wright County Wright County will not respond even though their high school is in their county.
Right, so it's jurisdictional, so we have to take care of the Dassel school.
So that's part of our responsibility.
Yes.
Okay. Second question, if we even have an opening, I read the paper all the time. I look at our website and we have openings. How can we hire if no one even applies? Has there been an uptick in any encouragement in that? So even if we advertise, we can't get people to even offer them a job.
Right.
And my third question was, we heard the presentation this morning from the Career Services Department folks. Is there any opportunity you see there, Brian, to partner with them? I remember there used to be, you know, if someone was interested in a potential law enforcement career, they could do ride-alongs and I don't know if you'd call that, it wouldn't be on-the-job training, but it would be partnering with folks that may be interested in then pursuing a career. Have we looked into some of those options?
So we do that, and we're actually gonna do a job fair for the jail coming up next week.
Okay.
We've been in contact with schools. I'm actually, been invited to I guess they'd call it a summit in 2 weeks, to Ridgewater. So, yeah, we do have those issues, and yes, we're having troubles. But if we're not trying, and we're not adding people, or not trying to add people, it's not helping us. Even if we get the full staff, we're still in serious trouble, because all of our off time was covered by part-time people. Those part-time people aren't there anymore. Nobody wants part-time jobs. Cops can come out of school and go right to a job. There's 100 agencies looking, so they can go right to those jobs, but we don't have that anymore. So
I know we had,
it's a big issue.
we had something that we voted on today, which was kind of interesting. One person was full-time. Now we're going to be able to retain him as a part-time, but took a position out of law enforcement. And then the other one that we voted on was a part-time person, and now we were able to roll her over to full-time. So we didn't really gain, but didn't really lose. How did that all wash out?
No, we didn't gain anything by that, and it took us several months to get her to go to full-time.
Okay.
And then the full-time person, we had to do some major talking to keep him. I mean, we have to make an effort to do that. We don't want people just to leave us when they have experience, but he had an opportunity, he was not gonna pass up, and he took it, so.
Yeah.
But we so heavily relied on part-time people to backfill all of these off-time hours. We're in a situation now, and when I became sheriff, I actually brought this up, is maybe it's time to move away from the part-time and hire all full-time, but that was shot down. And then we didn't pursue it, but now we're at that point where we cannot rely on part-time people to backfill, which means we're gonna have to hire some full-time people in these positions, and they're basically, they're there because we need them to backfill off-time hours. I mean, they're obviously gonna have some things to do, but we can't rely on that part-time help anymore.
And our part-time people, of course, still have to have the training and the education and so on. I'm assuming so.
I would just make a comment, for me, I mean, the corrections officer, the 61,250. I mean, I don't think that was pulled from the budget maliciously anyway, that was just, it was if you get to 100%, you need one, come to us anytime throughout, and I know we've discussed that, and you don't like that scenario, so, I mean, to me, to put the 61,250 back in there, and it was out of fund balance anyway, so it doesn't affect the levy, I don't have a problem with the 61,250. The resource officer, I've talked to, Grove City had a superintendent and a school board meeting. That was prior to the election, so they had 6 of the 9 people running on the school board. But, and I told them, I said, we're more than willing to partner with you and come up with a formula for funding it. It's not a no, not never. That's never been our position. At least not my position, no, not never. It's more completely supportive of it, but we gotta come up with a funding formula. And just to be fair to the rest of the school districts that do have one and are funding it, like, I think Litchfield puts in a flat rate of $50,000. a year, and I know somebody that you talk to does 9/12 of the position is paid for. You know, there's a million different ways to do it, but if my concern is hiring a position and then tell them, well, you know, kick in, well, it'll be 10 years and you'll be asking them to chip in. You know, I mean, and is that fair to other districts, taxpayers, let's be honest, that are paying for their school resource officer, and now they're paying for another one that's working on a school across the county. That's our dilemma. I mean, it's not like I say, it's not a no, not never. It's how do we get there on the
How do
school, on the
you
SRO.
how do you tell the taxpayers in Atwater, you need to pay extra for something you're not going to get? Because that school money is gonna be spent in Meeker County, and the people in Atwater that are paying for it don't see the benefit of it. That's what's exactly happening on the east end of our county. You have people in Meeker County giving money to Wright County, and they're not seeing a benefit of it in Meeker County. They're paying another county for that service. That only happens in that county.
And that's exactly what I'm saying, is we need to figure out that formula, what that formula needs to be.
So now that.
Asking people to pay nothing,
But they're already paying, so now if we go to Dassel and say, in order to get this in your elementary school, you have to pay twice what you're paying now to get that. That's why I'm saying this is a county, all we're arguing about really is how we're getting the money from the taxpayer, either through the school district or directly from the taxpayer. This is something that benefits everybody in Meeker County. Every taxpayer in Meeker County should pay for that, not just certain people in the county and then people outside the county. By having the SRO during the day, it relieves the pressure that's being put on the deputy who has the entire county to patrol. It benefits everybody in the county, and everybody in the county is paying for the service that's in the county.
so you're telling me that the SRO hired through a school district does not serve the entire school district?
No, not if there's a county line. If ACGC school district pays for SRO, half of the people that are paying for that will not see a benefit of it because it's the jurisdictional line that SRO has to be in Meeker County. So what is the benefit to the people who live in Atwater, who have a school there, because I can't go to the Atwater school? They're not gonna get a benefit from it. That's exactly what's happening in the east end of our
So it's
county.
gonna be the same in Eden Valley Watkins, cause you got a high school in Meeker County and the elementary school 2 blocks down the street on the opposite side in Stearns County. So
You would not be in
you,
this. we
you
would not
cannot
be in
go
Stearns
into,
County Elementary school, and we don't right now, we don't take care of this.
and I've had conversation, Jay Brovold, Bruce Keene, Mark Messman, Evan Borscheid up there, and, you know, they wanna handle that in-house with Evan and his department, and the city has approved another full-time position for him starting March, and
You're getting different information I am, but regardless of that, there's an issue in front of me as the sheriff with all of the schools in the county. I'm presenting a solution to that, and what we're arguing about is how we're getting the tax money from the taxpayer, whether it's through the school or directly, it's still coming from the taxpayers. But this thing is being hung up over how we're getting that tax money. And it's not benefiting anybody, because if something bad happens right now, how do you justify that to the people in this county? Well, we're arguing about how we're getting the money from you to do this instead of just doing it. Right now, we have 4 schools and a 5th that we take care of most of the time that we're responding to. We'll continue doing that. A countywide SRO is gonna spend equal time in there unless there's a specific week where one school has to deal with us more or less, whatever. But it's a countywide approach, and again, it's to relieve the pressure of the one patrol deputy who's on during the day, who spends a lot of time this fall at schools, which takes away from everybody in the county when they're tied up at one location.
Ryan, when's the last time this, Meeker County approved a deputy for you guys? Just one deputy position? Where you requested or whatever? Because we are taking a proactive approach and are approving an additional deputy
Right.
to help cause we know all these situations that you're going into. And you know, you say it's in terms of the SRO is based on who pays for it, but me being from Kimball School District, all my family, whatever, pays for the SRO in Kimball, period. And there is some benefit because either our kids, nephews, nieces, grandkids are going to that school district. So we actually are paying for it. And when I was talking to the Kimball principal, he said the great thing about the SRO position is it's someone that is almost in-house where everybody gets to know. And the concept of spreading out an SRO, I think, takes away from some of that advantage that a SRO can bring to each of these schools. And that's my other hang-up, is because I really feel strongly that if you have a good SRO for ACGC, whoever, how Eden Valley does it, and the kids actually get to know that person, you know, on a daily basis, that will bring more positive to police in general. And that's why I'm so adamant about that way of thinking too. Like I said, we all understand, it's like, it's not a great time to be in police, period, because of everything going on, and then all the shortages. But I just, that is my hang up. And I hope it's not, anybody in the office takes it personal. It's just the way I think it should be set up, because I think it's a good thing to have a SRO in each of the schools. From all my talk with the principal, I know, and he said all he could think of is the positive things. But the way Stearns County did it is had a percentage, and then eventually Stearns gets a quarter or a third. I don't know exactly their price thing, where they can use for, the summertime. And I'm not arguing, I think it's a good idea. I just think it needs to be implemented this way. So I don't think we're that far off as far as what we want. It's just how we get there.
And you benefit better because you don't have a building. Kimball doesn't have a building in Meeker County, but if Kimball had a building in Meeker County, it would be a detriment to you because you're not getting that service in that building. That's what we have going on.
No, I know that's the challenge of DC and Eden Valley. I don't even, does ACGC have an elementary and Candy, the same thing? So I don't know how you totally get around that part of it.
I think that's an Eden Valley situation, that's why they wanna handle it. And when they hired Evan and they approved a canine, they raised $30,000 for that canine in 2 weeks.
Eden Valley's gonna put a person in the school.
Well, they're gonna respond to school issues. They wanna do it internally.
That's not what an SRO is.
Well,
And just responding to school calls is not.
no,
what an
that's,
SRO is.
Evan's in there eating lunch with the dog, with the kids already. I mean, and I've gotten all kinds of, I got chewed out by Keen. I thought this deal was done. What is all this talk about SRO? We're not gonna, I already had this conversation. We're moving forward this way. We're happy with Evan and the project, and that's from the city. That's from the city. I'm not arguing. I'm hearing it from both sides. I
I think
mean,
the question for the board is what is gonna be funded in my budget, and that's the question.
That's exactly right.
I butted in my own question. When was the last time we actually gave you a deputy? Because we are doing that now.
So I think the last time was 4 or 5 years ago, and then prior to that was a decade or better.
Okay. So we are moving the chains essentially though, as far as that goes. And then the one thing I think that sometimes gets overshadowed is, some of this, these building remodeling. We really tried to push this through this particular board because of the problems that the sheriff department has seen in terms of space and stuff. And when we're trying to take care of the taxpayer, that end, the fiscal responsibility, and try to take care of this. And it's hard not to take that out of the equation sometimes when we're trying to figure out the funding of this. But it is hopefully a huge boost for everybody in the sheriff's department that we're trying to do these things that the marshal's office has suggested, as well as you. And I don't think there is any hesitancy from this board on that part. So I think it should be something part of the equation to look at it, that We're just trying to figure out how to fund this.
I have a question, Andrew, strictly about money. So if we fund the school resource deputy, the corrections officers, we've capped our levy at how much?
3%,
We can't go up,
correct.
so how are we gonna pay for all
It would be
this?
paid for out of fund balance if those positions were able to be
And
filled.
then, we have a lot of things that wanna come out of the fund balance this year.
Yeah, I mean, our operational expenses coming out of there is that right now it's 312,000, it would go up to $415,000.
That's what concerns me.
I do want to note on a scheduling issue, we do have a hard time at 10 o'clock to join this meeting with Woodland. So what I would suggest is we could potentially continue this discussion afterwards.
Okay.
Otherwise, Madam Chair, you could take a poll of the board and we can, unless there's further discussion at the board.
Do you
like that,
guys
I
wanna
certainly
have
don't wanna
further
cut that off.
discussion? I think we should,
You think we should have more discussion?
don't you?
I do, yes.
Shall we
So
postpone?
we'll,
Absolutely.
we'll go, we have to do this Woodland thing, and then we will come back to you, Brian.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So, Madam Chair, you may want to take a 5-minute break while we.
Well, do we have 5
we do
minutes?
We have 3 minutes. We can take a 3-minute break
Then we got-
while we
Three's
switch
good.
over on the technology.
Hey, we'll be on break for 3 minutes, but we're gonna take a longer break after, so
Okay.
don't move. I mean, can we do 5 minutes now instead of later? Or is there a certain time for
10
this?
o'clock is when it's supposed to
Okay,
start,
well
and we're
then
doing it
I'm just
jointly with
gonna
all.
wait.
Will we be the only ones on with Woodland?
No, it will be all of the
All of them
counties,
are.
all the county boards,
That's
which
what
is
I
why it's a
read.
hard time.
Okay, get a cup of coffee. Get a cup of coffee.
I'm not getting this, well, wait a minute, hang on. I may be, why do I have to copy this and then put something else?
What else is there really to say?
Yes or no?
I don't.
Thanks for asking.
I tried to get your uncle to do it.
Which uncle is that? Oh,
Uncle
yeah,
right
yeah.
here.
I
Uncle
was gonna
Dan.
say, I was like, God,
You should
who
talk to
else
Mike.
have you talked to?
You should talk to Mike, he died.
I talked to Frank yesterday, he came in to pick up his chili.
Yeah,
How much did he get?
you would
He
believe.
has got Jeannie, who quit. She will come in for Frank on Saturdays and make him get us a chili. They text back and forth. I think they're gonna start having lunch on Saturday.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Is Grant Rossi just gonna take long?
Yeah,
She just got done saying, just like going, I don't know why Dad keeps filling me chili, cause in the middle of the night, it doesn't work well.
I bet it
And he's
doesn't.
like going, but it's good.
Oh, he
He's
loves
like,
Jeannie's jelly, so.
I had
it's
to bring
pretty
12
cool.
pints down to the freezer downstairs for him yesterday.
Is that what it was? She
Well,
made
then,
it.
no, then he has an additional 5 pints. He's gonna eat, and I'm like, God,
He leaves a little envelope for her.
don't do that to my mom. She's like, God, she
Poor
can't
Frosty.
handle it.
Good discussion there last night.
She just shakes
Was
her
there?
head.
Yeah, exactly.
Little-
What part of the freezer? I wanna go down and find it.
Oh, really?
I would like some.
But
He'll
he
give you
realized
some.
it wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah.
I told him.
I love him. He would, and then I'm interim back now again.
Are you?
Yeah, sure, you
Buys a
know it.
building and
We're
then
just waiting on Renville and the rest of the
So-
folks from Chippewa.
To pay
Yeah.
for that trip?
everybody else.
So give them just a minute or so.
Do it, but
Here we go.
Well, they could've
I said you guys gotta
Good.
do it right this time.
Were we supposed to have?
So, you know, you gotta do background checks.
Exactly.
We're gonna hit this one
For sure.
You know,
Oh, we're not into filming.
No,
that's fine, it works.
Dave, nor
Found
Don.
it. I found it. Jeez.
Wow, that was exciting. Are we done?
Yeah.
So I asked Corey to mute us on there, so if there's things that we wanna add or talk about, we'll have to make sure we unmute ourselves first. Just didn't want us to show up on the big screen
Yeah.
everywhere else.
You know your commissioner as well, huh, Andrew?
This should be easy peasy.
I would think so.
We're muted.
I asked my mom, I was like, so between Beth and my dad, did you get to say
Just
one
waiting
word?
on
at all?"
Renville.
And she's
I
like,
haven't
no,
heard
I just
anything,
asked
so
her."
I
give them a
know.
minute.
We
I
had
was like,
discussions
"Ah."
about her baby Danny. She
Ah,
always
yeah,
floats when I mention him.
yeah,
He said he's my numbers guy.
Yeah.
That's what I told her.
Like I said, I'm 1 for 2.
She just goes like this.
I know.
It's
You should have.
red.
You
All right, I think we're all here. So we can probably call our meeting to order. Thank you, everybody. This is a big deal to get all of you in a room, kind of like this. So I appreciate y'all being here. So we'll start the meeting if everybody is prepared to do so. Hopefully we can go pretty quickly and not have to have too long of a meeting. So welcome, first ever, probably all of us being able to be together. First, I'd just like to do some roll call. We'll go by county just so that we make sure we know who's in the room and who maybe isn't here today. So I'll start with Big Stone. Jay Backer.
Here.
Oh, just wait, I'll see it.
Here.
Wade Athey.
Here.
Brent Olson.
He's absent.
Roger Sandberg.
Here.
Jeff Clagus.
Here.
All right, Chippewa. Matt Gilbertson. Yeah, okay. Candace.
Here.
Dave Nordon.
Here.
Bill Pauling.
Here.
And Dave Leeser.
Dave is absent.
Here.
Oh, he's there. We also have Lisa, our family service director, in here as well.
Perfect. All right. Candy Ojai. Corky Berg.
Here.
Steve Gardner.
Here.
Raleigh Nissen.
I am here.
Roger Indike.
Here.
Dwayne Anderson.
Here.
All right. Lacaparo. Todd Patzer.
Here.
Duran.
Here. Bramer.
Bramer, sorry. John Max.
Here.
Ben Bothan.
Here.
Stacy Tufto.
Here.
All right. Meeker County. Danny Shufflebane.
Here.
Paul Johnson.
Here.
Beth Oberg.
Here.
Steve Schmidt.
Here.
Julie Bredesen.
Here.
All right. Renville. Randy Kramer.
Present.
Robert Fox.
Present.
Doug Erickson.
Present.
Greg Snow.
Here.
Dave Hamry.
Here.
All right. And Swift. Gary Hendricks. Edward Peterson.
Here.
Pete Peterson.
Here.
Joe Fox.
Here.
And Eric Ruddigan.
He's absent.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. So first and really only line of business is the update to the Articles of Incorporation for Woodland Centers. I can just give a brief history, answer any questions you all have, and then we can kind of move forward. But we, Woodland Centers has not really updated our Articles of Incorporation for quite some time, and we noticed there was a significant need to in order to get them up to really what the law says and what the standards are in the industry. And one of the major points is this membership. For Woodland Centers, we've always had a membership line item in our Articles of Incorporation. But as you can tell, pulling the membership together to make any changes can be very tedious and really has not been our practice. And so we are looking at making that, that's really the big significant change that we're looking at for our Articles of Incorporation. The changes that we're making do not change the structure of our board of directors. That would still remain the same. This is really just changing how we are looking at, again, just our articles and how we are comprised as an organization. I did send out the most recent version of the articles, and I can pull them up here. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer those. The one change that I would look for in the articles that were not in the original document I sent out, this was actually brought forward by a commissioner from Renville County. The only change I'm looking at would be this last piece, that the articles can be amended by 2/3 majority vote instead of just a majority vote. And this would keep it in line with what our new bylaws would say as well, that it requires a 2/3 majority vote instead of majority. Otherwise, I would answer any questions, or if there's any discussion folks would like to have.
Any questions?
Committee.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear your opinions as to what is being proposed here. Paul and I have a couple of questions, but
I just think they're very outdated and, you know, cannot have every board member of every county voting on things, so that was the main thing. I think it was just an update. I don't have any issues with it. Danny, do you?
No comments.
I was just wondering something about the board of directors, and it's under item number 2C. It said added language about resignation and removal. Bylaws and silent on this, clarifies the process for recommending and electing new directors. So if we recommend 2 directors, are they then elected?
Well, I think it's, Ashley, you can answer this if I'm wrong, but I think we've always brought them before the annual board meeting, haven't we, Ashley? Do you want to answer that?
Yeah, historically, that's where, that's what happened at the membership meeting, is that counties would recommend 2 individuals and it would become before the membership meeting and the members would then vote that in. Because we would be moving away from members, it would come before the board and the board would make those decisions. So each county would recommend 2 individuals and then the board would then take that action. So it wouldn't be a big shift. It would just change it from the membership back to the board and giving the board complete control over that.
So basically, we could recommend Danny and Beth, and if there was a conflict or something between other board members and Beth, they could choose not to elect her.
Essentially, if that was what the board decided, it'd have to be a majority vote. Which is pretty standard language for any nonprofit board, that, you know, members are elected on.
Anybody else got questions here?
Ashley?
Mhm.
I think overall, my question is almost like a point of order here. I believe if we're going to make a action item, that the president or Beth should probably be conducting, opening up the meeting and doing the business overall. That would be my thoughts.
No, I didn't even think of it that way. Thanks, Gary.
Leave it to Gary. So I'm opening, the meeting is open. I'm opening the meeting, virtual meeting of regarding changes to the Articles of Incorporation for Woodland Center. So we would entertain any other questions if anyone has any. Anybody have questions here?
Yeah, it answered it. I didn't like it.
yeah.
I didn't hear that. Who was that?
This is Roger Emdick from Kennewick County. When would this go into effect? If it's, would it be after your annual directors meeting, or would it be after today?
Effective immediately after the vote. Yep.
Are we muted? Did you look at these?
Currently, how long are the terms for board members?
Yes or no?
Is it annual? Is this voted on annually, or what would be the term?
Yeah, right now our bylaws are silent to that, and that would be in the bylaws. And so what we had recommended, I believe, was annual. Now I don't remember because those were bylaws. I believe it was 2 years.
It's 2 years according to what I'm looking at.
Yeah, yeah.
This is Raleigh and Kennewick County. It added
Yes.
language about terms for directors. Terms
Correct.
for 2 years, unlimited number of terms.
That's correct. Yep.
All right, this is Beth. Does anybody else have any questions? We'll move along here.
Well, I was just gonna ask, this is Jay Backer from Big Stone. Are we then, there's no other questions? We need an individual to make a motion right now. Is that correct? If that is, I will make a motion to pass these updated articles.
I have a motion by Jay Backer to pass the Articles of Incorporation. Do I hear a second?
Greg Snow, Renville County will second.
Both second.
Commissioner Snow seconds. Any other discussion?
I would like to ask another question.
Sure.
County attorneys have had the opportunity to look these over, and you believe these to be in line with what should be done?
This isn't a joint powers board, this is a nonprofit
I understand.
board, so I don't know. I don't know if that was even,
All right, if it's an
Have you?
ineligible question, so be it.
I mean, I understand it when it's a joint powers board, but I'm not sure when it's a nonprofit board that. Ashley, do you have any input on that? Did you hear the question?
Yeah, I would say that it really wouldn't be part of the county attorney's purview to review these, because it's really not your role as a county commissioner. You're here as a member of the centers
Yeah.
voting at this time.
That's what I thought.
My only concern, this is County Attorney Schiefelbein, my only concern is that I would be here to review this because you guys are now voting on something.
Right.
And if something were to come back to the counties, that I'm here to be your legal representative, so I'm.
But looking it over ahead of time wasn't.
What's in the best interest of Meeker County versus what is in the best interest globally. I think the point that Commissioner Johnson brought up is something that could be worth a discussion.
So, I disagree, but I'm not gonna disagree with you, you're an attorney. This is simple.
You do.
Why is everybody laughing? This is, all we're doing is changing something that should have been changed probably 15 years ago, or how many. I don't know how much, when we have a joint powers board, Commissioner Johnson, it's different from what we're serving on a nonprofit board. Things are changing, and I don't know, I mean, we sit on the board as advisors, if that makes sense. So, anyway, that's, any other questions? Does anybody else have questions? If not, we're gonna proceed with the vote. Ashley, how, is that by each each member, or?
It's a great question. How would you like to do that?
I think roll call by county. So if you wanna just.
Should be each member. Madam Chair, it should be each member, just as you did the introductions.
Thank you, Commissioner Kramer. All right, so we're gonna start, what county do you wanna start, and then they can do their roll call, I guess.
You can just go in the same order if that works.
Go ahead.
All right, Jay Backer,
Yes.
Wade Athey,
Yes.
Roger Sandberg,
Yes.
Jeff Clagus,
Yes.
Chippewa County, Matt Gilbertson,
Yes.
Candace Janish. Yes. Dave Nordon,
Yes.
Bill Pauling,
Yes.
Dave Leeser. Dave Leeser?
He was here earlier.
Yes, Dave Leeser, yes.
Okay.
Come on, pay attention.
In Ojai County, Corky Burke,
Yes.
Steve Gardner,
Yes.
Raleigh Nissen,
Yes.
Roger Indikey,
Aye.
Dwayne Anderson,
Yes.
Lacaparo County, Todd Patzer,
Yes.
Deron Bremer. I might say that wrong again, I'm sorry.
Yes.
John Matz,
Yes.
Sven Bothan,
Yes.
Stacy Tufto,
Yes.
Meeker County, Danny Scheffelbein,
Yes.
Paul Johnson,
Yes.
Beth Oberg,
Yes.
Steve Schmidt,
Yes.
Julie Bredesen,
Yes.
Renville County, Randy Kramer,
Aye.
Robert Fox,
Aye.
Doug Erickson,
Aye.
Greg Snow,
Aye.
Dave Hamry.
Aye.
All right, Swift County, Gary Hendricks,
Yes.
Edward Peterson,
Yes.
Pete Peterson,
Yes.
and Joe Fox.
Yes.
Didn't miss anybody, right? We got everybody? Okay. Back to you, Beth.
I don't think there's anything else to come before us, so do I have to have a motion?
Say, just a minute, Beth, may I
Yes.
just say one thing?
Is it you? If
I
that's you,
don't know if
Raleigh.
This is Raleigh.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you folks in all of the other counties saw this, but Woodland Centers was awarded a statewide attaboy from NAMI.
Yes.
Maybe, I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but Ashley can maybe chime in here. But congratulations to Woodland Centers for that.
Thank you. Yeah, we were
That's all.
awarded a Provider of the Year from NAMI, Minnesota. So it was a really big honor to be able to obtain that award. Yeah.
Congratulations.
And I would be remiss to say, because it was spoke, I am out in Big Stone County coming to you live today. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you, Ashley. In Ortonville, Big Stone, all right.
Leave it to Jay.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, if nothing else, I wonder if we have to have a motion to close this, huh?
Probably just do it.
I think so.
Okay, I'll take a motion. to
Raleigh
close this.
Nissen will so move.
Moved by Raleigh, do I hear a second? Anybody?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Schiefelbein. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks. Okay.
All right, now I'm gonna have to take a 2-minute break because I almost didn't get through.
They're gone.
No.
Raleigh retiring too. That's what I
Yeah.
said, look up to a Dale Anderson.
Not a joint powers, but what the hell did they need our?
Right, County.
Corey, can you flip us back on the screen too?
I don't like giving